Welcome. I'm Barbara Call, Senior Director of Content Strategy at IDG, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's webcast titled Unleashing the Power of Hybrid Cloud Integration and brought to you by IDG, Evolving Solutions, and IBM. Today we'll be talking about the importance of hybrid cloud integration, recent trends, and how IBM's investment in its IBM Power and Red Hat solutions can be leveraged to enhance your hybrid cloud journey. I have two speakers joining me today. First up is Michael Downs, Chief Technology Officer at Evolving Solutions. Welcome, Michael. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Barbara. I'm Michael Downs, as Barbara said, with Chief Technology Officer with Evolving Solutions. My responsibility is to help our clients understand how emerging technologies and new technologies are transforming the operations of their IT in their business organization. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Excellent, thanks. Also joining us is Joe Cropper, Master Inventor at IBM. Welcome, Joe. Tell us about your role at IBM.
Yeah, thanks, Barbara. So glad to be here. So again, Joe Cropper with IBM. I'm the Chief Architect for our IBM Hybrid Cloud Platform, and spent a lot of time, both very deep in various aspects of the hybrid cloud technology stack and working across IBM and Red Hat and our partners. But also spend a lot of time working with clients, helping them adopt these new technologies. And again, very excited to be here talking about a very relevant topic in today's world.
All right, great. Nice to have you. And now I'll hand things over to Michael to explore the topic of hybrid cloud vision.
Thanks, Barbara. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. I'm looking forward to getting into more detail on our hybrid cloud vision and how IBM is a crucial piece of delivering that for many of our clients. Many of you are probably curious about who Evolving Solutions is. We are a technology solution provider, and we focus on helping our clients modernize and automate their mission-critical business infrastructure. Really, we're focused around modern operations, which for us is how do our clients succeed in delivering the value that their organizations are building out from their development efforts and their business transformation initiatives, to make sure that those things are available, reliable, scalable, and secure as you move into a new digital world. One of the things we've heard repeatedly from our clients is that the world is an ever-changing place, and the last 2 years have shown that to be even more true than they have been in the preceding 2 decades or more. Things have been accelerating for a while, but the global pandemic, as well as many other changes that are happening in terms of politics, the labor market, supply chain, and all kinds of other issues have made the world an even more unpredictable place than it was before then. One of the core issues that's driving for all organizations is the ability to adapt and change and be able to really both take advantage of those changes, but also, frankly, to be able to survive in a world where there is so much disruption going on. In order to do that, many of our clients have undertaken changes to their organization to make them more digital. The term digital transformation really is about turning more and more of your business processes and the way that you interact with clients, suppliers, partners, and your employees more electronic, more digital. And the reason this has become such an important trend is the ability, once a process is moved into the digital world, to make changes to it, to be able to adapt and move quickly, is vastly accelerated. Once everything is sort of in the realm of software, in the realm of bits and bytes and computer technology, our ability to adapt it and change it becomes much more available. Of course, all of those changes and the ability to adapt that's crucial, again, for survival and for taking advantage of opportunities, comes with a new set of challenges as well. And one of the core challenges that we see our clients struggling with is operationalizing the cloud. So the cloud is the way that many organizations choose to take advantage of this new environment where they need to be able to adapt and change more quickly. But it brings with it a whole set of new processes and tools to do the things that they're experienced with that they've been doing for decades. Most of our clients have been involved with running data centers or delivering technology services to their business for a very long time, and have built a lot of expertise around connectivity and access, dealing with performance, automating their environments. As we move into this new world that provides a better level of flexibility and change, Those processes and procedures are still incredibly important, but they need to adapt. There are new tools. There are new ways of organizing. There's new ways of engaging with teams, particularly new ways of supporting application development and business processes that allow our clients to continue to deliver on the promises that they need to make to their organizations. And that's why we say that cloud is not a place. Cloud is a set of disciplines. It really is not so much about where your IT organization pulls its services or the resources that you use in order to be able to deliver value to your organization. It really is about how you do it, increasing a level of flexibility, the ability to access resources from anywhere, the ability to consume them in a utility-based manner that aligns with massive changes that you may need to make in order to get by in the world. And in Evolving Solutions, we really talk about this across three major domains: modern development, modern operations, and modern platforms. And all of these domains are critical as our clients adopt change. We see them adopt it somewhat asymmetrically. Oftentimes, an organization will start with modern development practices and take advantage of using a public cloud environment like an Amazon Web Services or in Microsoft Azure or an IBM Cloud. And being able to take advantage of those things in the development process gives them the adaptability that they need. What often follows is the need to be able to build out an operational organization to make those changes I talked about before in order to be able to support that new business process that's been instantiated with a new set of code with a new set of providers. The other thing that we're seeing is the platforms that support all of this has to run somewhere. These platforms are changing and adapting as well, providing the utility consumption model I talked about, providing adaptability and flexibility, providing a different kind and variety of access that's necessary in order to be able to make your assets available to a variety of constituents, from high-value employees to customers across whatever domain that they might be working in now. So we've asked Joe to join us today to talk a little bit more about how exactly IBM Power plays into that. As I mentioned earlier, IBM is a partner of ours, but also is a key piece for many of our clients of actually attaining this vision that I just walked through. Joe, over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Michael. Really great to be here with you today. And, it's interesting. I think, as I was listening to your dialogue there, I mean, you're spot on with what we're seeing. I mean, while there's been obviously some pretty big changes we've all had to deal with as a society over the last 2 years, and it's, come with obviously a fair share of challenges, in particular in the technology space. Sort of also looking at it kind of as a glass half full perspective, it's also been, helping technology advance faster than ever before to kind of cope with these situations. And so I'm very excited to be here with everybody today and sort of talk about some of the things that we've been doing and trends as Michael just took us through, things that we're seeing on as we partner with many of our clients on the IBM side, and really kind of looking at how we can innovate and really, as Michael said, how do we start operationalizing these hybrid cloud models, and what are the technology things, that folks need to sort of think about as they go on this journey. So again, very, very excited to be here. So with that, when we take a step back and we look at this, I think that the industry as a whole has sort of really started gravitating around this notion, that hybrid cloud is really the new norm. And I think Michael said it well when he said cloud is really not about being a place, but rather a set of disciplines. And so I think the industry has largely agreed that, look, there's going to be a need for me to run workloads on-prem in my data center. Whether it's for data security, privacy, data sovereignty, there's a whole host of reasons why people will need to do that, today and going forward. But also, of course, people need to be able to leverage public clouds as well, and then kind of find the right balance. And that can differ from organization to organization. And in order to bring all this stuff together in a way that, again, can be operationalized, you need the right set of tools. If you just kind of look at the graphic here, there's, very diverse, heterogeneous landscapes that our clients are dealing with. On-prem, there's a variety of hardware infrastructure providers for various reasons. You've got mixed types of workloads with, VM-based applications. You've got container-based applications. Now you have folks, looking to public cloud, and oftentimes it's not just one cloud provider, it could be multiple cloud providers. And so, having the right technology stack to bring all these things together is something that here at IBM we've been, very keenly focused on and working with our, friends and family over at Red Hat, to give the industry a good set of tools and technologies and frankly a hybrid cloud platform that really can allow you to effectively again, operationalize this, once you start taking advantage of all of these various technologies. So let's actually take a look at sort of some of the key elements of this platform. And as we sort of dive into that, I wanted to just kind of set the stage a little bit from a high-level investment perspective from the IBM Power standpoint. We've been really hard at work over the last couple of years, and again, have accelerated, especially over the last 2 years, like the rest of the world has had to do, these investments in making sure that we give all of our clients the right tools and technologies to be successful in their respective enterprises. And so the first thing, we've been focusing a lot on cloud innovation. So obviously with IBM Power, we have a very deep and strong heritage with our on-prem infrastructures where people have been trusting, their mission critical applications to Power for years and will continue to do so going forward. But we've also seen a very increased need and demand for people to have that flexibility to, say, spin up AIX or IBM I or Linux on Power for a HANA workload off-prem as well. And so that's what we've introduced with Power Virtual Server. We've also seen a tremendous interest, of course, with people looking to undergo application modernization initiatives. So back to Michael's earlier point, finding ways to bring new technologies into the hands of end users faster is something that everybody has needed to do to kind of accelerate their transformation journeys. And so, we've been very keenly focused on platforms like Kubernetes and OpenShift and so on and so forth that are going to allow our clients to take their businesses from where they are today to where they need to be tomorrow. And then last but certainly not least, all of this centers around sort of those core tenets of the IBM Power platform with security, reliability, availability, those core things that you're going to trust your business to. And so all of these things that we're doing, again, kind of come full circle. And so these are kind of the top level areas that we've been investing in as a business to give all of our clients the right tools that they need to be successful. So when we take a step back and look at the hybrid cloud management sort of landscape, if you will, as I reflect on, over the last, 18 to 24 months, probably, literally hundreds of discussions with clients, the various use cases we see tend to fall in these three kind of top level categories. A week never goes by where I don't hear somebody say, hey, we really need to sort of look at how do we have a comprehensive management and automation solution across our hybrid cloud. And again, if you think back to this notion of these very diverse landscapes with VMs and containers, multiple platforms, multiple cloud providers, automation is going to be a key way to consistently do that across that hybrid cloud estate. So that comes up time and time again. Around this notion of application and infrastructure observability. As people move to these hybrid cloud infrastructures, there becomes this dimension of, there's a lot more moving parts in a hybrid cloud data center. And so you need to make sure that you have your developers, your IT operations, your SRE folks, they need the right tools to sort of understand, what are our applications working well? Because now you're not just in one data center, you've got, cloud operations all over the place, and you need to make sure your folks have the right tools to consistently sort of understand what's happening. And so that's becoming increasingly important in these hybrid architectures. And then again, last but certainly not least, is that people are looking at their overall application architecture. And again, in the spirit of delivering applications to market faster, to drive that business value, to drive that digital transformation effort that everybody's looking to do, app modernization and containers and, again, Kubernetes platforms, people are really looking to those technologies to help accelerate that. And as you look across the bottom here of the picture, the really great news here is that working with IBM and Red Hat, we've got a great set of technologies that can give you that consistent technology stack that you need. And as Michael alluded to, everybody kind of starts out at different parts of this journey and has different use cases they want to tackle first. And with, IBM and you think about what evolving solutions and folks can bring to the table, there's a lot of comprehensive solution here. And so you can really start, from any juncture and then, again, evolve things, as makes sense for your business. So let's talk a little bit about this notion of a consistent platform. We've got a lot of different technologies here, and I won't go into all the details of these. But as you think about these diverse landscapes that we show at the bottom here, again, at IBM, we have, I'm particularly, I spend a lot of my time working with our IBM Power clients. But we also have, as I work with many of those clients, they also might have IBM Z, or they might have x86 in their data center. It's a multi-platform universe, right? And same thing when we look at off-prem public cloud providers. There's a very diverse landscape of things over there. And what's really exciting about this technology stack, as you look around the periphery of this, you'll see things like some of our Cloud Pak management technology that lets you do VM management. And that's all consistent. So if you're running AIX or IBM I or Linux on Power to run a HANA workload, for example, you can get a consistent management experience with that, just like you could do and manage some VMs that are running over in AWS or Azure. And so again, that consistency is going to be a theme you'll hear me talk a lot about, over the course of our discussion. Of course, as you start to look at, taking advantage of containers and cloud native technology, that's where technologies like Red Hat OpenShift come into the picture, the industry leading Kubernetes platform, fully supported and enabled on Power. Instana is a really great observability platform that lets you monitor across all of the operating systems in that landscape. So anywhere in your hybrid estate, you can use sort of one portal to understand what's going on with your applications, what's going on with your infrastructure. Turbonomic, another great technology to actually help optimize your resources. And you can actually start to reduce cloud spend by up to 30%, which is huge. So how can you make sure that as you have all these resources, this is something we hear time and time again, cloud provides, this set of disciplines and capabilities, and it makes it very easy for people to quickly spin up resources so that your teams get the necessary efficiencies they need. But if you're not careful, right, you don't have the right tools, it's easy to let stuff linger out there. And so how do you know that, well, gee, we have all these cloud resources. Are there some things we could recycle? Could we run something in a different cloud provider, maybe get it, at a better, more optimal price? That's where things like Turbonomic come into the picture to help, optimize that spend. And then last but certainly not least, we've made major investments in enterprise automation. And that's where Red Hat Ansible comes into the picture to help really make sure that you can automate in a consistent way across all of this. And so, kind of the takeaway here is that from an IBM Power perspective, we know we have the best, most resilient, secure infrastructure out there. And we want to make sure that infrastructure can seamlessly plug into all of these higher level cloud management tools. And again, that's where IBM and Red Hat, through our partner ecosystem, we have the, top to bottom technologies and services and consulting to go along to sort of help you on that journey. So if I just spend a little time talking about some automation. So we talked about automation and management, and I sort of alluded to this earlier, but I just want to highlight the importance of this, in the spirit of today's conversation around hybrid cloud innovation. And again, I think, Michael said this very well earlier, people tend to start adopting these at different rates and frequencies, and sometimes you don't know what you're getting into until you're actually there. And so one thing that we've seen is people, as they start adopting different cloud providers, they've got, maybe they're using IBM Cloud, they've got their on-prem infrastructure, now they start having Azure or Amazon or, any number of cloud providers. They all have different interfaces and capabilities. And that's where we've been hard at work with some of our management technology that says, okay, it's no problem. Use all those different cloud providers. That's really what hybrid cloud is about. But we can kind of give you a consistent view and a consistent experience into that so that your administrators don't have to be flipping between, 25 different screens throughout the day. We try to streamline that to make people a little bit more efficient in their day-to-day operations. The other thing that we've been spending, a tremendous amount of investment on is this notion around, again, application modernization. And that's really fueling this digital transformation. So I'm sure by now everybody is well aware with IBM and Red Hat, coming together and sort of joining forces. that's really unleashed a ton of technology options for our IBM ecosystem and specifically within IBM Power. So we know if you look at the left-hand part of this picture, people are running all their mission-critical applications on the Power platform today. So you think about the typical workloads, the Oracles, the DB2s, WebSphere application server, the SAP estate. Those are all, have been key linchpins of the data center, and they'll continue to be that going forward. But now, with bringing OpenShift and Kubernetes to IBM Power, in partnership with Red Hat, you unleash a whole new set of opportunities that Power can bring to the table. If you look at the right-hand side of this, it's all of these new cloud-native applications, whether it's open source databases or new AI technologies, everything in our IBM middleware stack, lots of ISV applications. There's just a tremendous amount of innovation that can happen when you open this up, and now Power can serve both types of workloads, the traditional mission-critical apps, as well as these new modernized cloud-native apps, and you could do that all on the same computer hardware. And by doing that, you gain a lot of efficiencies, and we'll take a look at some of those benefits here in a few moments. But I can't stress the success that we've been seeing here enough by folks actually leveraging Power in this capacity for both traditional and new cloud-native applications. So kind of just double-clicking on that a little bit, because I get asked this question all the time, and folks often say, well, hey, Joe, I'm going to this new cloud-native architecture. Why do I want to consider Power for that? And that's a really great question. And really it boils down to, if you think about the reason why people invested in these great platforms, with Power in the past, again, around those reliability, security, those characteristics or those tenets, those obviously still remain true today and even carry forward into cloud native. And there's some really remarkable benefits because of the inherent strengths and R&D that goes into these hardware platforms, such as our ability to have 8 threads per core, and there's a lot of other very low-level hardware things, that we put into these chips, if you will, in these systems. And if you just look at some of the numbers here, at the end of the day, it allows you to run, more software with fewer servers. Or if you looked at a comparable, say, x86-based system, you could actually run a whole lot more software within the same footprint. And so your price performance metric here is remarkably higher. Now, what's very interesting about this is, in fact, what we've seen a lot of our clients do is they have a heterogeneous platform. So you can have multiple OpenShift deployments, if you will, some running on Power and even some on x86, and you find that healthy balance on it. It's all about running the right workload on the right platform. And we've seen great success and have had, great feedback from our clients that have taken advantage of this heterogeneous architecture. So one thing that's really important to understand as we look at cloud-native application estates, platforms like Kubernetes and OpenShift are really a platform. It's a platform to run additional applications, kind of like our mobile devices. You can't actually, you don't use your phone just to make a phone call or send a text message. You actually need to run applications on top of that. And what's really exciting about what we've done, we've made major investments in enabling the Linux ecosystem, languages and runtimes, open source databases. I mean, over 15,000 packages are available. So that can rest assured with new cloud native developers, as they're driving innovation, they have a huge ecosystem of technology available to run on top of OpenShift on Power. So very important to keep in mind. So the other thing I want to talk a little bit about is application observability, right? How do you actually monitor what's going on in the data center? And that's where Instana comes in to the picture. Instana's whole purpose is really to try to make sure that you get full stack visibility. You can collect data in context of what's going on. So you can get very deep in, if you've got Java applications or Node.js, you can really get a lot of very specific insights into those. And then last but certainly not least, take intelligent action. So it's not just, here's a bunch of data about what's happening. Here are some recommended steps on things you can do to actually make the application, run better, optimize the infrastructure, so on and so forth. What's really great about this Instana technology is that it ultimately is going to help people, again, reduce time to resolution. And if you look at just a quick data point, on average, when clients actually start leveraging some of this technology, they can reduce that time to resolution by upwards of, say, 52%. And the thing I really want, there's a lot of different icons on here, and I don't want everybody to have to kind of stare at this too much, but the thing that's really critical about this is across the bottom, you see this supports a very rich and robust ecosystem of software and infrastructures. And of course, from an IBM Power perspective, includes AIX, IBM Linux, even our mainframe, as well as, x86 environments. And that's really the spirit of everything that, we're talking about here today with respect to hybrid cloud, is a consistent platform, consistent with what you're doing on-prem, consistent with what you might be doing in one or more public cloud providers, and consistent across hardware. So those are the terms you're going to hear from me just over and over and over again. You need consistency. So the other technology I wanted to spend a little bit of time on was resource optimization. And specifically, that's where Turbonomic comes into the picture. And Turbonomic is an IBM company. And in fact, it was something that we acquired about a year ago or so now. And what's really interesting about this, and it's nobody likes to see the little spinning circle on the left-hand side here when you're doing an online order or anything to that effect. But it's, really on a serious note, making sure that these complex environments and infrastructures stay fully operational and optimized becomes, increasingly important. In fact, that's one of the number one issues that I hear when I talk with clients as they adopt hybrid cloud technologies, which there's lots of benefits, and Michael kind of hinted at some of those as he was talking. But one of the big challenges, again, that can come up in hybrid architectures, again, if you're not having the right tool set, is how do you optimize your spend and optimize your resources in this new world? Unfortunately, there just tends to be way too much stuff going on, and it's almost impossible for, certainly not one person or even a team of people to, constantly be looking at, well, what are we doing in, Amazon, and what are we doing in Azure, and what are we doing on-prem across all of our different data centers? That's where technology really needs to come to the picture. And Turbonomic is something that can actually take a look at this and observe and keep an eye on your entire environment. And it even has cost awareness built into things. So it can make suggestions not only about, hey, this VM isn't being used, maybe you can decommission it or shut it down, but it can even look at workloads and say, hey, you're running this workload in this particular cloud environment. Maybe you could run it more effectively over here. And so you kind of get that ongoing assurance with software, right, that can be keeping an eye on your operations and making sure you're optimizing things. What's really exciting, too, from an IBM Power perspective is we've got Turbonomic fully enabled to support optimization on Power. So as you start running, say, OpenShift workloads with some of those new cloud-native applications we were talking about, Turbonomic has the ability, again, to sort of deeply understand what's going on. And it can, again, not only make recommendations about how to optimize things, but it can even be placed into a more automatic mode or autonomous mode, if you will, to actually perform those for you. That way, if it's making advice and it's 3 a.m. when hopefully everybody is asleep for the evening, Turbonomic could actually be taking corrective steps for you so that, things are running optimally 24/7, 365 days a year. So again, very, very key technology to sort of think about, especially in this new hybrid cloud world. So kind of as we wrap things up here, I know that's a lot of information to take in, and I think in the spirit of today's talk around hybrid cloud and innovation, the thing that I really wanted to make sure that while, hybrid cloud is out there, people sort of know that's the new architecture going forward in terms of running their estate. Again, cloud is really about this set of disciplines and capabilities. All that said, we got to make sure that we have the right tool set and technologies to help us be successful in that, next era of IT. And hopefully I've, tried to share some of the things of what IBM and Red Hat and what we're doing in partnership with, folks like Evolving Solutions and others is to open, the possibilities here. And so wherever you are on your journey to hybrid cloud, whether you're just getting started, or maybe you've started tackling, a little bit into that application modernization scene, and maybe there's some other use cases you want to get into next. We have the right technologies and the right services to help you get, to wherever you want to go. And with that, I wanted to provide a couple of resources and links if people want to learn more. This is some good information you can go check out. We have some QR codes, so you should be able to just point your mobile device at this, and it can pop up the web pages for you. You can go read more, and we'd certainly love to have further discussion with you. So with that, I'll turn things back over to Barbara to close us out.
All right. Thanks, Joe. That was great. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you to both my guests. Michael Downs is Chief Technology Officer at Evolving Solutions, and Joe Cropper is Master Inventor at IBM. And thanks to you, our audience, for joining us. For additional information on this topic, please visit the resources section on your screen. For IDG, Evolving Solutions, and IBM, I'm Barbara Call.